Welcome back to the online performance wellness students. As you know, we are nearing the end of the class, and we have an exercise that we'd like you to participate in at home or wherever you are right now, and that's called behavioral rehearsal. We are going to actually work with a live performer who is preparing for a major audition in her career. And so we're going to show you how to use all of the different performance wellness techniques that you've been practicing over the last few months in a very real life performance situation. So I have our performance wellness students here with me who are really going to help me now in helping their fellow performer to do the best that she can possibly do in this upcoming audition. So thank you so much, Claire, for coming back and for volunteering for this exercise.
Yeah.
So the way we start with performance behavioral rehearsal is we look at all the different aspects of the body, mind, and relationship, and we try to get all of those aspects of performance and body-mind awareness in a balanced and harmonious state. So we're going to start, Claire, with you right now with imagining that you are in this audition situation. So take a moment just to get in touch with what you imagine that feels like, and describe to us what you feel in your body.
I feel very lightheaded, almost like I could black out, like almost like sort of the tingly thing around my eyes, and just very, very tense.
Right, right. So those of you who are in performance wellness class, what do you think is going on with Claire right now? She's tingly, lightheaded.
She's nervous.
Yeah, right. So the fight or flight reaction is activated in Claire. And the lightheadedness is related to what kind of physiological process?
Well, breathing.
You're not breathing, probably, right?
Yeah.
You might be holding your breath.
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on in terms of the lightheadedness?
I just feel very much like you're talking about the fight or flight. I mean, that's what it feels like. Like I'm going to have to spring into action, and my body may or may not participate.
Yeah, right. You don't really trust right now. So let me ask you guys, what would be the first technique that we can guide Claire in dealing with these physiological symptoms of nervousness?
But she's going to have to get her breathing under control.
That's right.
That's primary.
Okay. So what technique should we start with?
Even breathing.
Okay.
Yes, and also adjusting the body position, like say the feet maybe connected to the earth to feel like
Good
this
idea.
grounding, this lightheaded, feel the connection to the earth,
Absolutely.
and from there build up the even breathing, and then the diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah.
Definitely, because you want to make sure, because you know when you're the flight or flight, then you get the shallow breathing. You want to make sure that you're taking nice deep breaths, you know, to fully, you know, give your body all that oxygen that you need.
Absolutely. So take a moment, Claire, to first of all feel your sit bones. Bring your consciousness down to the energy garden in the belly, where your power emanates from. And imagine that you're actually breathing from that part of your body. Feel your feet relaxing into the floor. And let your belly expand as you breathe in and contract as you breathe out. And the even breathing, do you want to talk about that, Sarah?
Well, it just means that you're breathing in the same amount of counts as you're breathing out.
That's right. So give that a try, Claire. How does that feel?
It's helping. I feel like I'm more inside my body. I was sort of feeling like I was kind of outside my body, not really in control.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like I'm relaxing into it more.
absolutely. And that's where you have to be as a performer. Yeah, but I think it's such a typical symptom, that feeling of kind of being disembodied. Because the breath is what connects you to your body and your power. And when you're not breathing regularly, it feels like you're losing your power and you're losing your spirit. So you've just got it back now. Now let me ask you another question. We're going to move now to the next dimension of performance wellness. We're going to look at your thoughts, because it's your thoughts that actually create the fight or flight reaction. You know, because something has to be threatening you in order for you to go into that state. So what is the threat? What are the thoughts related to this audition?
Well, it could completely change my career, change my life. And there's a lot of competition. And I worry about being the age that I am. I know that the opportunities are, shrinking. There may not be many more like this. And I don't know what these people are looking for exactly. And I realize that part of it's out of my hands, but I want to be whatever it is that it takes to get this job.
Right. Okay. So I'm guessing that some of the negative thoughts that you're feeling are, number one, if I don't do great in this audition, I am not going to get this gig. And I'm going to lose some major, opportunity in my life, in my career. What else did we hear? What other negative thoughts are related to this particular performance for Claire that you guys heard?
Well, lack of control, because she can give the best audition ever, but if they have a different look or a different, concept, it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And I think that's one of the major things that performers have to deal with. You can be spot on, but if they have an idea for a different look or a different concept that you don't fit, you're not going to get the gig.
Right. And you don't have to put any energy into that particular thought. It's not that you're not good enough because you're older than what they're looking for, or that you have a different hair color. It's that this gig might not be, the one that you're going to ace right now, and that's okay. It has nothing to do with your worth and your value.
And also, I feel like I have 3 minutes to show them everything I am.
Right. And that feels like
overwhelming.
Yeah.
If I miss those 3 minutes, I blew it.
Yeah, right. So what are you feeling right now as you're talking about these potential negative thoughts?
I feel a little better talking about them. It's
Yeah.
almost like exposing them to the light
That's
makes
right.
me see that they're not entirely rational.
Absolutely. Good for you. Good for you. So what we want to do, we want to take it another step further and work with the concept of cognitive restructuring. So you're going to be restructuring any kind of negative expectations that you're having. So which one do you want to work with that's most compelling for you right now?
That I guess just that they're going to be very very cynical and very judgmental about my appearance, and that's going to sort of color the way that they view me, my image, from the minute I walk in.
Okay. So that's a negative thought and expectation. And so using the cognitive restructuring process, which is tracing it back, where do you think you had that thought originally?
Mainly from myself.
Mm. Right. So you're your own worst critic. Right. And so the thought is, I am not going to get this gig because I don't look what? The thoughts.
Like the people on TV.
Okay. How many of us can relate to this?
Yeah.
Right? You are not alone. Well, thank you.
Not the TV I watch.
Well, you look like the performers that I see in the real world. But be that as it may, this is a thought that we need to work on right now. So if you could restructure this thought so that it brings more of a sense of confidence and joy into this performance, what might it be?
Well, that the performers I enjoy the most are not like that. That they're real people.
Okay.
And they sound like real people.
Right. So can you say that from a place of affirmation?
Okay. I have something very real and enjoyable to offer.
Yeah. And where do you feel that in your body when you say that?
I'm kind of feeling everything sort of right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your center of expression. That makes sense. I feel like I have something very special to offer. I think that wasn't exactly what you said. Say exactly what you said. Okay.
I feel that I have something very real and enjoyable to offer.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I am, it sounds like the next part of that affirmation would be, and I am offering it to you now. You know, I want to give this gift. We talked about EMI, Essential Musical Intelligence, as being related to the throat center. And it's this, the posture of like, here's my gift. Not like, well, I don't know if it's good enough, or they probably don't like it. And that way, you see, I'm like really shutting that off. And it's not really good for anybody. It's not good for me, it's not good for them. So you're really claiming that gift that you have, and the enjoyment of it, right? That's a big part of being a performer. I think so many of you out there probably have had times when you did perform, but you were like, I can't wait till this is over, you know, and then you're like, I got through it. Now, is that really how you want to be as a performer? Or do you want to enjoy this gift that you have and the process of sharing it? Right. I hear you. So there you go. Your body is feeling embodied.
Right.
Your mind is in alignment with what you're going to be doing in a few minutes. Let's also look at the next step of the performance wellness process, which is emotions. Are there any emotions that you're wanting to tap right now in this performance?
Yes, it's a song about my home, about the home I grew up in, and I guess the overwhelming emotion is love for my home and for my family.
Wow, that's beautiful. So one of the techniques in performance wellness is visualization, which is a technique of really projecting yourself into a scenario that is related to your performance. So if you're singing a song about love, and you're singing a song about your home, that you're actually putting yourself in that scene. So take a moment to just visualize that you're actually looking at that scene, or you're in that scene of your home, and the love that you feel.
I'll cry and I won't be able to sing.
Okay, so you might want to just acknowledge the feelings related to home. And sometimes, believe it or not, the greatest performers are the ones that allow themselves to have that kind of emotion. But at the same time, can you now bring yourself back to your breathing and the sense of having a job to do here? You are now going to connect with the audience. And we are your audience. So that is the final step in the performance wellness behavioral rehearsal, is let's explore your feeling of being in relationship to us as your audience.
Well, it's very easy because you're all friendly faces.
Yeah. So if we were auditioners, how would you want to relate to them? Imagine that we are people that are going to decide whether you get this gig or not. How would you want it to treat us?
Well, I'd want to walk in and be friendly and just say hello and come across as someone who knows what they're doing, because I know I've been part of an auditioning team, and you can kind of tell whether someone knows what they're doing when they walk in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. One of the things that I find is so important is seeing the auditioners as just real people. They are not out to get you. They are not going to destroy your career. They're people with problems. They're people that are probably also performers or were performers. They're people who maybe are having a bad day, and that has nothing to do with you. And more than anything, let me ask you guys, what does an auditioner really, really want from a performer?
They want to show, and they want to find the person they're looking for.
Right. They're not there to hurt anybody. They're there to really do their job as well. Right? And I think even from a higher level, everyone, auditioners and audience members, we want to be uplifted. We want to be sung to. We want to be, moved in some way. So if you can remember that when you go to these kinds of auditions, and not to hook into the inner critic that we worked on in an earlier class, I think that your chances of knocking their shoes off or whatever are very good.
I feel better already.
Great. Okay. So the next step in behavior rehearsal is you decide what your intention is. That's something that we've discussed throughout this whole class, is you have to be clear on why you're here, and to affirm that inside. I know I am here, and for our purposes it would be nice to do it externally. Let us know your intention, and then when you're ready, you can start to play. And if at some point we feel like you could use some help, we might stop you and do another check-in, mind, body, feelings, relationship with the audience. And then the last part of behavior rehearsal is really the end of a performance. A lot of times we never discuss what does it feel like when the performance is over. Many performers are like even more anxious afterwards because they're worried about, well, do they really like me? Am I going to get the job? And da, da, da. Or they're like, oh, I missed that one note and I hate myself and why do I always do that? Or, you know, or you might just be elated and thrilled. So we'll see what that's like for you as we go through this performance. Okay. So take a moment to find that intention. When you have it, you can share it with us.
Okay. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Okay. Would like very much to be part of your TV show.
Great.
And this is a song that I wrote. It's called This Old House.
Okay.
This old house isn't really that old, just a year older than me. Here's where it all began, a woman and a man chasing the American dream. This old house, my shelter, my home. This old house, my blood, my flesh, my bones. Nothing lasts forever, but time stops whenever I remember this old house. Thank you very much.
All right. So what's going on in your body right now?
Well, at that point, I would turn and leave before I had a chance to say anything regrettable. And yeah, I feel pretty good. My voice worked. That doesn't always happen in that situation. And yeah, I would walk out of there feeling like, okay, I did it. It's done.
Lovely.
You said you sounded great.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
The acoustics in here are wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really made eye contact with us and you seem to be enjoying the process.
I was.
Which, you know, I think is a major, it's a major sign of a performer who is really connected and wanting to share. So, yeah, very nice.
Thank you. And the eye contact thing has always been a little tricky for me. And that's another area where I had felt disconnected, like it's sort of like, okay, I'm doing this, but it's not really happening.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel that way this time.
Yes, yeah. There's actually a word for that. It's called depersonalization. It's that you're not really there. And you're not really there because it's so terrifying to be there. And that's something that all of the performance wellness techniques can help you with that. It's very common because so many of us, particularly as children, have been terrified or traumatized in performance situations, and so we've learned how to depersonalize. We show up, we do what we do, but we're not completely there because if we were, we could get attacked. So that's something that it takes a little time to bring yourself back, and you don't have to deal with that anymore. Thank God. Right?
And the eye contact also made this bridge, like the feelings of the song, no? But made it as if you were telling the story of that house and singing it in an artistic way, and the feelings just came over, connected.
Well, I really felt connected to it. I mean, visualizing the house and my family the way I did, really, while I was singing it, it made me feel much more like I was part of it,
Yeah.
and less like I was just singing a song.
It's a little risky. And we had talked about this with acting. Often the actor is not, they need to be a little bit more in control when they're doing their scenes. But with musicians, I think it's something that it's risky in that if you open up really intense feelings while you're performing, it could get in the way of your actual ability to give a good performance. But at the same time, if you're not feeling any emotion, it just becomes a very dry performance. So it's finding the balance, and I think you did an amazing job. You got there, you said, wow, I feel like I could cry, and then you pulled yourself back and yet stayed in the vibration of the home theme, and were able to really convey that so beautifully. Anything you wanted to share about the performance?
I would hire you. Thought it was amazing. It was really good.
Okay. So those of you in the audience who are participating in class, you might want to try this with one of your friends or colleagues. And this way you'll gain more mastery in using the performance wellness model for performing to your fullest. And so what you want to do is either for yourself, if you have some major performance coming up, you can have somebody else go take you through these steps. Or if you have a friend who is needing that assistance, it feels really good, doesn't it, to be able to know how to help people at every level of the performance process. There's one more piece of feedback for Claire that is coming from one of our students who is sitting on the opposite side of the room. And Jim, would you like to give us your experience of this performance?
Sure. I was watching it, so I wasn't participating on either side. And I was really struck in the transformation that occurred before, during, and after the performance. Before the performance, even though she was among friends, there was a kind of nervousness and reluctance, an awareness that this test was about to occur, even though it was among friends. And I didn't so much notice that until after the performance, which was terrific and lively and confident. And after that, her voice changed and her attitude changed. She was more present, she was louder, more emotive. You could just tell that this had been lifted and replaced by someone who didn't have that in front of her. It was an interesting transformation.
I think that's such a good point, Jim, that I think one of the reasons why we perform is because it is transformational, not just for the audience, but for ourselves. And it also goes back to a study that I did at NYU on pianists. I looked at their immunity before and after playing a piece of music that they really loved. I originally assumed that when people play music, they get healthier. When they perform something that they love, they actually, it's good for you. It's good for you, it's good for the audience. And so I took immune measures in these pianists before they performed and after, along with personality questionnaires and adjective checklists to see what was going on inside of them before and after the performance. And what I found is that the people that were like Claire, who was saying, you know, I have some of these issues, but I'm really wanting to transform that and give my gift with joy to the audience. Those people actually had an increase in immunity after the performance. And when we tested audience members, they also literally had an increase in the way their immune system functions. Now, half of the people we studied had that reaction. The other half were the group that we called deniers. They were people that were like, I'm fine, I don't have any problems, I just want to get through this performance. Those people had a decrease in immunity. It's fascinating. They were repressing the thoughts, the emotions, the expectations, the affirmations that were going on for them at that time. And then after the performance, they just crashed. So it's something that really validates this kind of approach for all performers, that if you really don't want to get sick around the time of major performance events, you can't deny your feelings, you can't deny your thoughts, you can't deny your bodily symptoms. They are part of the performance. And when you really surrender to the fact that your body is the instrument, and your mind fuels this instrument, and your emotions give life to the performance, then you're going to have this very transformational experience. And the audience will benefit from that. It's really quite profound. Haven't you been in situations where you've been watching a performance and you start to not feel very well? You know, you start to feel like tired, or, you know, you're uncomfortable in your body. Well, the audience picks that up from the performer. We never think that that's true. We always think, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm so tired, or, oh, there's no air in this room. But often, we are in training with what's going on in the performer. So these are very important things to think about as you're moving forward in your own performance careers. So thanks for that feedback.